So when it comes to the mind, and if we think about how is the mind being affected by the way our bodies are. So every time we are negative and we are feeling sad and we have, I call this lower emotions. We're stressed out, we're anxious, we're feeling sometimes grief has taken over, sometimes sadness, sometimes even hormones play a huge part. And I know that after 40, whenever I work with young women, whenever I work with women over 40, I must usually go through the menopausal symptoms because a lot of that can be menopausal too. So if we think about it, exactly the way you said, our overthinking causes us to react, differently. The chemicals that's made in the brain is very different. And our bodies are controlled by two things. Can you imagine just two things? It's controlled by chemicals and it's controlled by energy. And it's so weird that some people will say, but where is the energy in the body? The energy actually is in every single cell. We have like 50 trillion cells in our body. And every time they end up going through mitosis, which is when they divide, they give off sparks of energy. And inside each cell, you also have something called mitochondria that gives off energy. But if we don't use it, we lose it, just like the brain cells. And chemicals, we have chemicals flooding our bodies all the time. If we are thinking sadness or if we are thinking stress, the brain, the body is just making the chemical that is associated with those feelings and emotions. So our endocrine system is in charge of making the chemicals in our bodies, the hormones. And this is actually triggered by the way we feel, by the way we think, and the stages of life that we go through. So that is very, very important. And when I do energy healing, people say, but what is this? What do you do? And energy healing is basically looking at the energy, and energy can be in the form of information and it can be in the form of a force. So if I want to move my cup, I would need to use energy to lift it up to me. If I want to know, I'm feeling really sad, but what's making me sad? And if I go through the process of thought, that information dawns on me. So where is all this information? They're all forms of energy. Right. So what actually makes us ill? Now, imagine that you were born with a suitcase. So close your eyes. Very quickly, just close your eyes. And I want you to imagine you were born, you just came out from your mom, and you were born with a suitcase attached to you. And I want you to think about every time there's something negative that happened to you. I want you to think about a pebble being thrown into your suitcase. And every time that pebble gets thrown in, the bag gets heavier and heavier and heavier. And then when you come to your 20s, you are still hauling your bag around. Every time somebody bullied you, broken relationships, arguments, friendship issues, divorce, issues with children, they all become emotional baggage. I want you to think about how heavy is your emotional baggage. What is your emotional baggage doing for you and to you? And I want you to just open your eyes and think about it. Now, what happens is that when we are pulling that bag with us every single moment, and if it's a heavy suitcase and we don't know how to empty the contents, empty the pebbles, then we take longer to reach our life's goals. We take longer to find our destination. We take longer to think about what we want for the future. So we might reach there, but instead of reaching there in 2 years, we might reach there in 10 years. Because that's what emotional baggage does to us. And emotional baggage is made up of the way we think, our emotions, and that leads to our behaviors. And the other day I was talking to my husband and he's telling me, but how can thoughts change? Do you get the thought first or do you get the emotion first? And I tried to tell him that, for you to have an emotion, you have to have a thought first. And once you have a thought, that thought then triggers a chemical, and then that triggers a behavior in the body. And one of the golden rules of the mind is the mind does what he thinks you want it to do. So I want to show you very quickly. I want you to just, again, close your eyes. Just close your eyes, and I want you to take a nice deep breath in. And I want you to just imagine you're walking in an orchard full of lemon trees. You're walking through these lemon trees and you see one of the most beautiful lemons and you pluck it from the tree. You have a pocket knife right there. You cut the lemon in half. You cut it again in quarters and those little juices are just splashing a little on your face. And then you take one piece of the lemon and you bite into it. And the juices just squeeze into your mouth. You can smell it. You can feel it. Did you notice that your salivary glands started making saliva in your mouth?
Yep.
Did you notice you had to swallow it, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that is it. You didn't really bite into a lemon, but your mind, because we told your mind you're biting into a lemon, the mind automatically then goes through the actions. It makes your body work according to what you tell it. So that's how beautiful it is. So what can we actually do? We can actually use this now, this mind, to do good things. We can tell the mind, instead of causing illnesses, to fix me up. We can tell the mind, instead of being stressed, how to deal with it. Like every time I feel overwhelmed, I'm going to take a walk outside. I'm going to walk bare feet on the grass and I'm going to feel the earth's energies just calming me. So the more you tell your mind, so you have to change your inner dialogue here. Instead of telling yourself negative things, oh, I'm rubbish, oh, I'll never be happy, oh, I'm not deserving of good health, that's exactly what will happen. So now we need to change our inner dialogue. We need to change the way we speak to ourselves. And that becomes the game changer. You actually have between 50,000 to 70,000 thoughts in a day. So that's an average person. So if you think about it, 50 to 70,000 thoughts in a day, that's roughly 1,400 thoughts in a minute. So you are having a thought coming into your mind every millisecond, even millisecond, even 100th or 1,000th of a second. So you're getting thoughts just flowing through your mind. And when we become overwhelmed, when we become stressed, when we feel anxious, that means these thoughts are going like on the motorway or on a freeway, one after the other, one after the other. And if you get stuck on one thought, you're going to have a pile up. And that's when we end up having a crash up here, overwhelming feeling, and it feels like life is just consuming us. So what is the trick here? The trick here is when people are depressed, they're actually living their lives in the past. When people are anxious, they are actually living their lives in the future. So the best place to be is in the present moment. And how do we do this? Through meditation, through conscious awareness. You just look around yourself and you say, you know what? I see that beautiful plant right there in front of me. So start picking on what you see around you. Be present. And that is one of the biggest keys. Another thing is our emotions. I'm going to tell you a little story about one of my clients. His name is actually Dan. So he came to me at the age of 42, absolutely overwhelmed, absolutely depressed. He had a broken relationship and it was really his life was just, he was feeling suicidal. And when he came to me, he told me, after I put him under hypnotherapy and I did an RTT, a rapid transformational therapy session with him, we went down to the root cause of why he's feeling this way, and his parents also went through a breakup. He didn't know any better what a good relationship is. So his environment when he was a child affected him as a person, as an adult. So he was living an adult life through the eyes of that child. So you wouldn't believe it, like because of that, he ended up with chronic IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome. He ended up with chronic migraines. And because of those two things, he was never, ever happy. His body was not working properly. He was just never, never happy. He was a very pessimistic person. So there was a study on human behavior, and it revealed that 90% of the population can be divided into 4 behavior trends. You can either be optimistic, pessimistic, trusting, and envious. So you can share some of these behaviors at different times in your life. But the one that was highlighted and the one that was the most, which is like 30%, was envious. And it's so weird how we are naturally set on default to compare ourselves and to become envious of other people. And when that happens, we end up keeping ourselves stuck, and they are all going ahead with their lives, but we are still stuck. So I always tell everybody that we must imagine life. I just spoke to a client today from Dubai, and I was telling her that we are all on our own tracks. Your children are also on their own tracks, your partner also. So we are all on our own tracks, and we have to keep our own tracks clear of obstacles. Because if there's a big obstacle in front of our track, Nita, you'll never be able to help your children clear their paths. The same with Rashmi, you'd never be able to develop your business to where you want to be. And then that brings on the illnesses, that brings on the stress, because you are so anxious, fearful, upset, doubt is creeping in. The brain is filling our bodies with cortisol and adrenaline. And too much of this makes us in survival mode. We are only either going to hit or run away, or we freeze and we remain stuck. So when our bodies are flooded with this, it is very, very hard. If we don't get rid of the cortisol and adrenaline, then an illness occurs in the body, because this is real chemicals flowing through our bloodstream. It's going through every organ. And that is when we end up with chronic illnesses, or we end up with body pain, physical pain. Physical pain is actually a cry out for what's happening internally. So these are things that we should never, ever ignore. And because when we ignore these things, then we're actually doing ourselves disharm. Right, so what I want to do is today, I'm going to share this with you, and I want you to start doing this today. So if you have a piece of paper, I want you to, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to keep positive, your thoughts positive. So you might say, but how do I do this? When I'm getting a negative thought and my kids need my help and there's too many things going on, how do I do it? I want you to get yourself some paper, chop it up into little pieces, or get a pack of Post-its, and any destructive emotions or thoughts that you are having that don't serve you any purpose. So in the middle of the day, if you get a thought saying, oh gosh, I'm so stressed, I feel so overwhelmed, write it down on the Post-it, and I want you to put it into a bottle. By Friday, I want you on Friday to bring your bottle with all of your negative thoughts, and I want you to start being aware of how many negative thoughts we have. And even if you find yourself like writing a post-it, keep your post-its either in your pocket, in your bag or handbag or whatever. You'd be surprised that every time you're writing these thoughts, you're taking it away from there and you're putting it into that bottle. You are actually freeing your body away from those thoughts for those moments. So get into the habit of not keeping destructive thoughts up here, but rather get rid of it by writing it down, putting it into the bottle. Do y'all think this is doable?
We can try.
Trying is for failing. You have to just do it.
Okay.
The night tick, just do it. Right. And the second thing is, I want you to have a cup of fresh mint every day. Fresh mint tea every day.
Okay.
So go and get some mint from the shops. You might be having it growing in your gardens, but every day, 1 cup of fresh mint tea. Because I know that some people said they suffered with a lot of pain in the body, inflammation, and these are caused because you have too much of cortisol and adrenaline running through your bloodstream to the various parts of your body. So fresh mint helps to decrease inflammation, and it also helps to it's very good for pain. So what you can add onto it is a cup of fresh mint tea, put a little bit of turmeric, maybe half a teaspoon turmeric, and a bit of honey. And you have this, if you can even have 2 cups a day. And you tell me by Friday, how does the pain levels feel in your body? Has it decreased? How does the inflammation feel? Has there been any changes in your body?
Okay.
Okay? And the third thing is, we're going to do this. We call it Nadi Shuddhi. And we are going to do this one breath healing. And you're going to take time out every day this week for just 2 minutes to do it. And I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay? So if you are sitting wherever you are sitting, I always like to tell people to put their feet on the ground so you get the earth's energies entering your body too. So the other hand, you can sit on the floor or whatever, or sit where you are. One hand could be in either this position, or even like this. But the right hand, one of the stronger hand, I want you to just do this. So the thumb is going to block the right nostril, and these 2 fingers are going to be blocking your left nostril when you need to. So we're going to be alternating this nose breathing. This nose breathing is so good because your body will release toxins through your breath. And I'll be explaining more of that in the week. Right, so you close your right nostril. You take a full deep breath in. Fill your entire lungs, breathe to capacity like this, and listen to your breathing. Pinch it, hold it. And breathe out through your other nostril. Now breathe in through the right. Let's do it again. Hold. Breathe out through the left. Breathe in through the left. Hold. Breathe out through the right. If you're finding it hard, if your nostrils seem like it's blocked, that means you need to do it even more. You might want to massage it a little bit like this before you start. 2 minutes every day. I actually set my alarm. I actually have on my Apple Watch, whenever it says stand up and do some exercise, I must do one form of breathing. So do this for 2 minutes every day. So it's just alternating. And if you find like when you're breathing in and your nostril, one of the nostrils are blocked, that means at the end of the week, you tell me how it feels. Eventually that nostril will become unblocked and you will be getting rid of toxins from your body. It helps to slow down your brain waves. It helps because your eyes are closed, your brain waves are slowing down. And because you're taking deep breaths in, you might even feel slightly dizzy. But that just means because you're already breathing oxygen going right to your brain. So it's actually a good thing. Okay? So 3 things: thoughts, breathing, a cup of fresh mint tea.